Well, I think straight up just mapping the number of disciplines that an agency has now is radically expanded. There were only like 3 or 4 things you did in an agency, and the genders related to those in different ways. Even if there was no bias, like there are now 15 or 20 disciplines in a digital agency, you know? So just a wider sense of appeal to different people of all stripes.
So to kind of build on, I think that we got another question from Twitter. It's not about where you find the talent, but where you find the teachers. Who's qualified to teach about the new culture?
That's getting better. Like 10 years ago, it was a complete catastrophe. There was no one that knew anything, and there was shysters that were claiming they knew, and it was really bad. There are people now, there's a lot of people in this room, even off the panel that I've talked to, that are qualified to teach. There are people now that have been in digital for 10 or 15 years. It's way, way better than it was in the late 90s, you know?
Yeah, and I also think you can learn a lot just by reading. You know, there's good literature out there. And I mean, I'm normally always scared when I see someone's title. I'm the social media guru, or I'm the digital guru. It's normally the guys you want to stay away from.
Yeah. Except for at parties, because they are very friendly.
I mean, one of the great things about the internet is there's a load of people out there who've got absolutely nothing better to do than to show you how great they are. So it's kind of like, you can read, I think if you shut yourself away in a room for 2 weeks and you read like, I don't know, 10 different bloggers or Tumblrs, you could come away with that 2 weeks with like a pretty decent knowledge.
And then when you have like Stanford and MIT having their entire courseware online, combined with like everybody that's good at marketing now blogs about their thoughts.
Exactly.
You have to be self-motivated, and I think that's a really important point. It's like you don't go to school for it. You have to sit there and be like, I'm going to lock myself in a room for 5 weeks and learn, but you can do it on your own.
That's a great point.
I think your earlier point, Rick, was exactly that. To be hungry, to want to learn that, to take time to
passion.
do that. It's like the most critical thing. As soon as people start outsourcing it and saying, well, I'm so busy, I just can't learn those things. I don't want to. I'm going to hire people who are going to do that.
But I mean, we're really on the dawn of it becoming like educated about. You know, RIT is awesome for the creative technology merging. What you guys are about to do is really great. The Brand Center at VCU has been doing a really great job adapting to it. Like, the establishment institutions are catching up. It's nothing when we started hiring like Flash kids, for example, there was no one that went to school for it. You know, my partner was a sculptor. But now there's 5 or 10 schools in the US and Hyper Island that just pump them out. You know, it is catching up.
The level of public debate is so much, you know, I think you posted something about the death of CPM.
Yeah.
And someone had written an article about that, and then there was, I don't know, it was about like 100 comments underneath it, and it went into so much detail, and the kind of level of intellectual debate there was really, really high about, you know, this industry. And again, like 10 years ago, you probably would have got, you know, you probably would have, like, 10 people closed away in a room talking about, I don't know, TV advertising or whatever it is. But now you can get like 100 kids, and it doesn't matter if they're like 25 or 55, you know, who knows, because you're online. And there's just this, like, I don't know, it's just a really healthy debate. So I feel like you can learn.
Yeah, real quick, one of the things that really made a difference about that was Web 2.0 with the explosion of people that started small websites that were making their money off of advertising. They didn't know anything about advertising. They thought, oh, we'll just sell ads and make money. But as those people are now like trying to run their companies in a profitable way, there's this whole other culture of people that are delving into like, what is marketing? What is emotion? How does this work? What are the mechanics of it? How can I make my company make money? So there's a lot of people learning about marketing and advertising coming from the tech world now, which is kind of interesting and a nice change.
Cool mashup.
Yeah,
for sure. One last question. Do we have time for one more?
One last question, then we're going to wrap it up. So I'm just curious. So there's still a lot of traditional agencies, and we're trying to get digital really embedded, like you were saying, collaborative as much as possible. Interesting. How do you sit in the agency? I mean, do you actually have like creatives and digital and planners together? How do you make it so that it's part of in the idea? Maybe it's not the same for you because everybody's a digital planner.
Well, it's the same with departments.
But you're talking about there's so many different departments. How does it work so that everybody actually collaborates and works together?
They fight for seats near the sun. No, it's serious. That's how we do it. Yeah, people want the windows, so somebody moves or leaves, they move to another city, and somebody rushes to the windows, and whoever rushes to the windows it has nothing to do with their department, you know. So it's so funny. You go to our windows, and it's every department, because it's just the people that ran up to the windows. So it just keeps everybody mixed. I know Mother, for example, they just rotate the people at one big table, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we end up building our teams around a client. So So there are representatives from every, from ID, from, copywriters, designers, technologists who are forced to sit together. So they're forced to collaborate. And it's just a big open space, and there's whiteboards, and it just happens.
The important, but you're onto it though. You got to mix them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, we've grown in Boulder. We've grown by a factor of like 8 in the last 2 years, so 8 times. So from about 70 to maybe 600 or so, and so it's been constant construction for the last 2.5 years. So departments and teams are always split up and moved around, and I think that's been super healthy because every couple weeks, you have your own office, then you don't have an office, then 4 people are in your office, and then you have your own office, and it constantly changes. I think that's really, really important to keep it fresh.
Yeah, I mean, so same for us.
Yeah, you guys used to be organized, and it's like.
Yeah, especially in production. I mean, you can't work for 2 years straight on HP. You're probably going to go nuts. Or any other account, not just HP. But there's certain accounts, it's like 2 years, 3 years, you're going to die, So we're also very open to it. I can talk to someone like, what do you want to work on? Do you want a smaller project, bigger project? There are people who would love to work on a huge project. But there are other people, they want to do an iPhone application, a small site, a band, whatever, So we switch it up quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I think we don't work for a single client, right? We work in an agency that has a portfolio of stuff, and I think that's because we all sort of inherently want to try different things and learn different things, and that's the great part of what our business is. You learn a lot about things very quickly and a very mix of that. So I think always having diversity in that sense is a great thing. I share an office with a sort of classically trained art direction, creative director that is an expert in digital, and I'm sort of on the sort of strategic side. So we sit, and he's like super mellow, and I'm like super hyperactive. So it's an odd combination, but it sort of works because we're together and we're wanting to share what we're each doing. And I spend half my time in the kitchen, so working with other people. So there's no real like formula to how you organize a team per se that like will lead to innovation. I think it's more about finding people that want to learn.
I just moved to New York and sat right in the middle of our studio, and everybody moved away from me.
Oh, really?
I just kind of forced them all to, they all moved towards the window. I was like, oh, well, that mixed it up. That worked.
Well, cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I
thank
hope that
you.
was
On
informative.
behalf of Team we want to thank you for coming out tonight. We especially want to thank the panelists and John moderating. Thank you so much. And a special thanks to Saatchi and Saatchi for providing such a great space for us to have this event in tonight. I think the panelists will be around for a few minutes. There's a little bit more beer. So if you have any specific one-on-one questions, feel free to tackle them. All right, thank you.